Now let's move the focus a bit closer to where electric vehicles are actually being made, the smart automotive factories. Johan Dahlström, you have extensive experience in smart factories in general, but also batteries in particular. Having worked in both China and in Europe, who would you say have come the furthest in the EV evolution?
Yeah, easy answer is China. They begin this transition 2008, first as a way to stimulate the economy during the financial crisis.
What do you think is the main cause for this different rate of evolution?
Bad air quality was a big problem in the big cities in China. Electrical vehicle has no emission, so you get better air quality in the big cities if you have an electrical car.
And I know that you have personal experience of this difference in air quality as well.
Yeah, 6 years ago, I built up a new automotive test center in Beijing, and some days the air was so bad, you could eat the dirty air. You could not almost see your hand in front of you, and you were breathing particles. It was like you were eating particles. So, since a few years, you can only allowed to purchase electrical vehicle in Beijing, and this has really improved the air quality.
And so, batteries are at the core of the EV evolution. And I suppose that we work differently in regards to battery production around the world as well?
Battery production is the same in the cell production, but you also need battery value chains. You need to have the minerals, the machines to produce the battery. And today, the European battery manufacturers are focusing on the cell production and the traction battery that you put inside the electrical vehicle. But we need also to focus on this battery material production.
So does that look different in China then?
Yes. Since China started this so many years ago, they have a complete value change for batteries. While in Europe, we begin to pick up certain parts in the value chain.
So, as far as I understand, the West is dependent on China for key minerals and machines in order to produce batteries. Is that why companies such as Ford and Volkswagen are developing their own battery production in order to lessen this dependency?
Yes, and these are very good examples. But we need to move fast.
Electric vehicle battery often comes with a discussion on sustainability. Could you give some examples about how the industry is working for more sustainable battery production today?
First of all, you can look at the chemistry. Europe will like to use cobalt to get high energy density and power density, so we can drive a long range. While in China, in the big cities, you use iron instead of cobalt. We cannot drive as long as with cobalt, but it's good enough for a big city. Secondly, you can look at the shape of a battery, like a blade battery that is produced by BYD. Thirdly is that the Chinese giants are now building a factory for mass-produced sodium-ion battery that can be used as a supplement to lithium-ion battery. They are more sustainable, but you will not have the same driving range.
So, can you please explain a bit more why these blade batteries are more sustainable?
Yeah, if you take a simple round battery cell and pack it in a square box, you get a lot of empty spaces. But if you develop long, slim battery cells, you can put them like knives in the drawer, because you can pack blades in higher density than normal battery cell. You can use non-cobalt lithium-ion battery. For example, you can use iron, that is more sustainable than cobalt. And secondly, is they are more easy to recycle the blade shape than a cylindrical shape. They are more easy to pick out for recycling than normal prismatic or push cell. As one example, we have Toyota is now building an electrical vehicle with BYD only for the Chinese market. That will cost about $30,000 US.
That's not a lot.
No, it's not a lot. And this one will use the blade battery.
And looking at the recycling of batteries, how can we increase the overall percentage of EV battery recycling?
They are now building up plants for recycling of the batteries. But the key question, I think, is that we need the sustainable recycling of the battery. And to do that, we first need to be able to pick out the battery cell from the battery pack. And for that, you will need robots to do, or you change the shape of the battery cell so they are more easy to pick out.
So why aren't they using robots to take out the batteries today?
Because today we, first of all, have no standard on how the battery pack should look like. We have no identification code. This is a battery cell, this is an electronic part, this is a power unit part. A robot needs to be able to find by itself, this is the battery cell, this is the battery pack, and that the robots today are not smart enough.
And so what is actually being done today then when it comes to improving battery recycling?
Today, because we cannot pick out the battery cell, we crush the whole battery pack in a big crusher till we get out what you call a black mass. And from that black mass, you can extract the cobalt, the aluminum, the nickel. But you lose a lot of material in this process.
If you got to build the automotive factory of your dreams, what would it look like?
First, I will build up a digital twin of the factory so I can learn from it digitally. I especially focus on the energy consumption to the factory. We need to develop models that can reduce this energy consumption. And if you could build up a model of a factory with a digital twin, the system itself could reduce the energy consumption to it. This needs to be combined with green, renewable electricity, preferred from solar or wind power, but are connected to batteries. So they can store the electricity and give out the electricity when the factory demands it.
So basically, a self-sustaining smart factory with its own battery recycling. What are the challenges you need to overcome in order to build such a factory in, for instance, Sweden?
We don't have machines.
Oh.
We don't have the suppliers to make the machines for battery manufacturing.
Thank you so much, Johan Dahlström and Peter Bryntesson, for joining us on this episode of Momentum Talks. It is even more clear that sustainability is one of the key drivers for the transformation, and battery production and recycling are two of the major challenges.